we survived our stream intro crashing right before we started, so
We're good.
that's what happens when you do stuff live. Anyway, hooray! Everyone's here. Uh,
I'm here. I'm Daniel Nixon.
the one and only Shifty.
Mr. Wes is sitting right here.
That's me.
Mustache looks dope today.
I appreciate it, sir. Appreciate it. I did a little extra wax because I, wanted to be prepared for the onslaught that's about to go down here.
We don't even have the cameras on.
I know.
So if you
We have cameras. When we get those things actually set up and working properly, you'll get to see our dumb faces whenever we do this stuff too. So that'll be dope. But for today, we also just kind of wanted to concentrate just on letting you guys be able to see what's going on with single player challenges and be able to see that full screen instead of having talking heads in the way anyway. So there's that. So here's how we're going to do this today. So Dan will be the driver. I'm riding shotgun here and just being able to provide, some answers to questions that you guys A, have already sent in, and B, what I'm seeing happening in chat. I think we're somewhere around 15 to 20 second delay between what we're doing and what we're able to read in your chat. So please forgive if it takes us a moment if we miss something. And we'll also try to scroll back up and catch a couple questions if they come up. We also have Ben is in chat as well, helping out with some moderating. So if you have additional questions there, he may be able to jump in with some answers too where needed. But today we're going to take a look at the single player challenge, the first one and the second one, so that you guys can get an idea of how these work. I know some of you have already seen the first one as we revealed some footage of that previously. But we kind of want to go through and show you how gameplay, the decisions that you make can somewhat alter how these challenges work. I'll also be answering some of the questions that you guys had previously sent in during this, so it may be kind of weird if I just jump in and say, and here's a question that says this. And then additionally, we'll talk a little bit about what went through the engine upgrade that we've just gone through. So we will get this underway here just momentarily. Bear with us while we're trying to get the final touches done here. Being our first stream and our first time, like kicking the tires on everything, there's going to be some issues that pop up. Most of this is on the tech side of us having everything running seamlessly. So Dan is just getting ready to hop in here in just a second. But while we're doing that, while he's getting prepared for that, I wanted to address a couple of the questions that were already pre-sent in. So we asked the guys, Nick and Riley over at Slash and Cast, show some love in chat for those boys, to put together a few questions that either they were hearing from some of their fans, as well as just people sending things in that they were curious about what's going on with the challenges. And some came through that were just relevant to the engine upgrade as a whole. So I wanted to do a couple of those just before we get started here, especially with everyone here kind of scrambling around to get all this technically running the right way. One of the questions that came up was being able to, how do the cutscenes sort of work within the challenges? And are there multiple ones that can occur? What is that experience like? And cutscenes happen during triggered moments throughout challenges based on what Jason is doing. Does he just if you just roll up and start swinging at one of your targets, that's not a cutscene because obviously you're just free swinging and attacking. But there could be specific moments where if the AI is doing something, you may have a triggered moment that you can go to and have one of those cinematic cutscenes. And you could find some of those throughout the map. So looking at how the AI is sort of pathing and what they're doing in the level is smart to do, so that you can get an idea of what are they doing, where are they going, why are they stopping at this point to do whatever. You'll know that is a triggered sort of area. So that was an answer, I guess, to one of those questions. Dan, I think, is now finally back from unplugging some things and plugging other things back in.
Always hustling. So we're going to hide our gameplay screen for a minute.
Okay. We got to do some dev sheets.
We got some hidden things that people can't see quite yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think we're good.
Yeah, it looks like we're good.
Okay. Yeah, Rob, you can throw back to, we're good. So you guys have seen this screen before.
I don't think we've ever showed them this actual
No, I
screen.
thought we did. I thought this came out already. Well, if you haven't seen it, here it is. So Dan, why don't you break down a little bit with like, what are we looking at here? What's this UI? What's it all about? Does it change, etc.?
So this is the first objectives screen for single player challenges. It gives us the name of the challenge, and we'll be able to move back and forth. We just gave him a quick
sneak peek at the second one.
Peek at the second one. But yeah, our objectives are shown on the right. Every challenge is going to have 5 storyline based objectives. There's a hidden one as well that players will have to unlock on their own. And then every one of our single player challenges has 3 skull objectives. We went over this in the past, but you have the one for being undetected, the one for killing all of the counselors, and one for hitting the XP score. We also have our killer selection screen. So people have been asking a lot, are there set Jasons? Do I have to have a specific Jason for each challenge? And, on some of them, you might have, as is on screen right here, get all 3 skulls as part 5 Jason.
Right.
So there might be an objective tied to being a specific Jason, but you can choose any Jason that you have unlocked.
Right. And what he means is like unlocked from like multiplayer. So if you've been grinding and you have all the Jasons unlocked, you'll have those selectable here. So those things kind of tie back together. So if there's a specific Jason that you really wanted to take on one of these challenges, but you don't have him yet, jump back into multiplayer, grind through, look for those double XP weekends, etc., so that you can, get the one that you want there. So another thing to just mention here, just right before we jump in here, is because I've seen some questions come through both on my personal as well as some of the just community in general, which is like, are these challenges like narratively based? Meaning, is there like a storyline? Is it all tied together? That type of thing. So I wanted to go over that real quick before we jump in. The short answer, no, it's not. These aren't like each one of these are not connected with a single thread of a story. Like that wasn't the point of what we wanted to do here. The goal of this was like if you took our counselors from the game and like plug them into a 10-minute scene from one of the films or something, right? Like it's just a scenario where here's this Jason, here's these counselors, and this is a scenario that's playing out, and then you kind of get to make your own like little mini movie, if you will, your own little like slasher, flick with the set pieces that we provide to you in this. We thought that was more interesting than trying to write a story that you kind of already know, right? Like you've already seen the films. So it would have been silly to just say, here's exactly the scene that you remember from, part 3 or something, play it. It's better to give players some agency and allow them to sort of rewrite some things and make some decisions and see interesting outcomes that are cinematic, but are all still like feel like it's Friday the 13th. That was our goal from this. It's also like you'll see counselors pairing up, be it from just buddies hanging out to maybe like a male female that are getting to know each other a little bit. You'll see some of that in our challenges as well. And again, it was to just kind of create these little mini moments, these little things that as you're playing as Jason, you'll probably be able to identify pretty quickly as, hey, this is kind of special what's happening here. I need to investigate, hang out, and then maybe I'm going to get a cool visual treat for watching this stuff kind of play out. I may get a cool kill from this, that kind of thing. So that's the point of these challenges. Again, there's 10 total. We're looking at the first 2 today. So yeah, let's jump into the first one.
We also gave a sneaky first look at weapon swapping right now.
Oh, mm-hmm. So yeah, you guys got to see a little sneak on that.
And we got Roy's new skin. Didn't
Might be
play.
faster if you help,
Roy's
man.
my boy.
Man, just hurry up. I don't want to miss the hot chicks at the party.
Not everybody's his fan.
They're out there, Jason. Find them
Oh
and
no,
get your revenge.
it's set to West play.
Yeah, so yesterday, I'm an inverted player because that's the right way to play games. And it's input settings. And Dan doesn't play that way because he's a Neanderthal. So yeah, he has to switch it back. Me trying to play yesterday, I'm an inverted player, and playing non-inverted, I was constantly like looking at the ground.
Bugsy, anyone ever tell you to shut the fuck up?
I need to go drain the lizard.
I'm getting a lot of people saying I'm totally wrong and inverted is wrong.
Thank you, because
No.
you are wrong.
Shh, hush, no. So he just went into stock mode.
Sorry, Adam. Sorry, Adam. My bad.
They deserve to die, Jason.
Hoodwinked.
Make them suffer.
We should have called that hoodwinked. We should have called it that.
So every time you complete an objective, that's how it shows up on the screen.
Correct.
Now we've seen this kill before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, wait.
So, swing and a miss.
Well, at least we get to see that the undetected failed.
Yes. He's totally going to get away. Well, you still got a
No, he's
shift.
not.
You
He's
got a
gonna-
shift?
He's gonna try to shoot me.
Probably. He's going for the exit, dog.
Oh, no.
He is out. He's gone.
Oh, don't.
Oh,
Jason,
got him.
find them.
Got him.
Kill them.
So as you can see, like, you can obviously make mistakes, and the counselors are going to fight back. They're
Oh,
going to
no.
find. Oh, yeah, it's over. Terrible, terrible. You're garbage.
Aw.
So yeah, I mean, you can screw these up, and yeah, you should feel bad about that. Because here's the funny thing is, like, Dan's done this like a million times, and he was like, "Oh, I'll run through it, like perfect the first time, and then we'll go back and like poke around and make some mistakes and show people the versatility."
Make them remember.
That's
funny.
that was a total fail. I failed everything.
Your chat's like all over you. They're like,
Thanks, guys.
fail wholesale.
Thanks.
Yep.
I don't even
Can we get some fails in the chat?
know. Well, everybody they saw the grab, the new grab.
Fix that shit yet?
I
Might be
tried.
faster
That's
if
true.
you help,
Like I
man.
failed.
Yeah,
Hurry
that's true.
up. I
But they
wanna
saw
miss
what
the
a
hot
miss
chicks
looks
at the
like
party.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's terrible. I was supposed to be starting off strong, and that was
Not strong.
not strong at
Not
all.
strong. Not strong at all.
They shouldn't be here, Jason.
All right.
Stop them.
So we're playing on the PC version of the game, in case any in chat were curious what we were.
I mean, I'm gonna blame the Xbox 360 controller of Wes's that I'm using instead of the.
It's old. It's old.
I'm
I've
used
had
to
it.
keyboard and mouse. That's what it is.
Master
and-
Race. He's one of those people. Master Race. So. I bet you you would have done that better if you'd had the controller inverted. I think
No,
you would have won that.
I'm gonna do this fast. We're gonna get done. Then we'll let you see how.
That's my Jason. That's my special boy.
Got him.
Got him. So Bugsy obviously needs to be better hydrated. I put in, like I've asked, Ilphonic, I'm like, hey, Bugsy's water regimen, his intake, something's wrong.
It's the electrolytes.
Something's really wrong with that.
There we go.
That's my boy.
Is that better?
Hunt them down and make them pay.
Success. Yes.
The P is bad. Yeah.
Oh, and we'll see the.
Well, see, some of this too is like when we started putting all these things together, we were on the old engine. So some things like how liquid looks, how light reflects from liquids, it was programmed the proper way previously when we upgraded to 418. Light is processed differently in this engine compared to last. So yeah, one of the kind of oops things after the fact was, oh shit, his pee is like orangish yellow. And those are like little things that we can go back and fix later. Because one thing that's kind of it can eat at you when you see some things like that. But when you have a mountain to climb, I was talking to somebody on Twitter about this earlier because they were like, "Hey, are you going to fix this like one little tiny thing?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, sometimes, but at some point." But when we have the mountain that we're climbing, you usually don't worry about the pebbles. You just kind of got to get over it, and then we'll go back and get the smaller things, smaller details, get them fixed. Doing some weapon swapping. Let's see how it is.
Everybody wants to see the weapon swapping.
They do. It's fine. Yeah.
I mean, it is exactly what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, it's still something that people want to see. They want to.
Sure.
They want to know what J2 with the machete or the pig splitter looks like.
Yeah, I think it's dope. I mean, I love that we were able to get it done and get it in there. So you want to take another crack at this? Try to get a couple more of those objectives? Since you're garbage. I'm sorry, what?
Welcome to working at gun meetings.
Yeah, well.
Might be faster if you helped, man.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done.
I don't want to miss the hot chicks at the party.
Find
I've actually
them,
never
Jason.
done this with
Make them
J2.
pay for what they did to us.
And I mean, also, like I've mentioned with this engine upgrade, like the whole point of us doing this wasn't about increasing fidelity, right? It wasn't about let's make the game prettier or let's, it had nothing to do with visual quality. It was 100% about getting dedicated servers in for console. On the old engine, it was impossible to do so. And with this update, we're able to finally get dedicated moving forward and try to get that to you guys as soon as we can. But what happened with the engine upgrade is we got a new renderer. We've got how light is processed is different. Even some of the physics and things in the game are different. For Xbox players, it's running on the newer form of DirectX. So there's a lot of moving parts that went into this engine upgrade. And then some of the ancillary byproducts of doing this engine upgrade, we did get like a visual change to the game. I think for the better. The way that light is handled in this new engine is, I think, a little bit more realistic. It does better with shadows. It does a lot better with how bounce lighting is processed, like how light will hit a surface and then bounce to another surface. And if it's pulling off of a surface that has a color, then the light that is reflected has a hue of that color. So if like the light was shining on a red door, the ground around the door will have like a slightly redder tint to it, because that's what light does in real life. We use a third-party lighting tech that's called Enlighten. And with Enlighten plus the new engine upgrade, it really did make the levels feel a little and look a little darker, but it also makes some colors pop better. It makes some of the textures look a little cleaner. So we did get that. Oh, that was dope. So we also added in a little stinger, a sound effect that we had Harry Manfredini make for us. So whenever you do grab someone successfully, it does the da-da, very much a Friday the 13th thing. Whoa, that was dope. A little levitation with that one.
Make them suffer like we did.
But the point of adding that little additional sound thing in there was, if you were stalking as Jason and you snuck up on a counselor that was fixing the car or doing whatever they're doing, maybe you're just hiding around a corner and you step out and do the grab at the right time, that sound cue will really provide both a physical scare, jump scare, the audio scare. It's all tied in there together. which I just always wanted that. I don't like jump scares. They're a little cheap, but when used the right way and effectively, it's a nice tool to have in your tool belt. But we just never wanted to overuse that too much in a game. A lot of horror games will do that, and it makes some people think a game is scary if it just has a bunch of jump scares in it. But that's not part of like what Gunn thinks makes good horror. But when used effectively, I think there's always a good spot for it. And so that was one way when we were, because the IllFonic came to us and they're like, hey, we've never really liked the grab. And we're like, yeah, what do you want to do about it? And they're like, we think it should be heavier and feel stronger and have more sort of meat behind it. We were like, yeah, well, we can't really get back in the mocap studio. Kane is, doing his stuff at conventions. It's hard to get all that stuff lined up. And they're like, no, we'll hand animate it. And we're like, okay. So they, their animation team jumped in and hand animated that to add a little bit more weight behind it to make it look more aggressive and brutal. And then we had Manfredini make a quick stinger for us, that little dunna. And when those things tied together, we really liked the effect.
Make them remember.
I just wanted to point out to everybody that I waited specifically so we could show
Yeah.
that Adam does go looking for Bugsy after he gets the car fixed.
Sure.
I totally failed,
Yeah.
but it wasn't about winning right there. It's about answering a question for the community.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure it was. Speaking of questions from the community, I'm going to jump into a couple more of these as we're going to answer some of these, show a couple comparison video or images here in a few, and then we'll play the second challenge. So some of these you've kind of already seen an answer to, so I don't really see that I need to answer it. Like, do you get to play as different Jasons? Like, obviously, yes. Will the challenges have different difficulty settings, or is it just a set difficulty? There's just one difficulty. You can't go in and change that. As these challenges progress, as you get closer to 10, you will find them to become much more difficult. Trying to get some of the objectives that we ask you to do, it does become a little harder to try to pull them off. So some of the other earlier ones, you may not have too big of an issue getting through, but as it goes on, it's going to get a little harder. So that we kind of ramp up the difficulty in that way. Can I choose a weapon in the single player challenge? Yes, we've already shown that. How many objectives are there for each challenge? We've shown that, which I think is...
So I guess we can, in total, there's 90 objectives throughout single-player challenges.
Throughout the 10, you're right.
So there's a lot of things to go in and do, and then just being able to yell at your friends like I was trying to make fun of you because I'm I beat the first challenge in 59 seconds.
Yes.
You were like, oh, my first try, it was 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Right.
I want to see...
Well, that's what I think that's what I like about this is if you want to be one of those people that are like, I want to try to beat this the fastest way I can. I want to find the most efficient routes. And then maybe you're into that, making videos based on watch me speed run this. I think that's dope. It's cool that you can do that. But then there's also those that maybe want to I want to stand in the shadows. I want to watch the AI pathing. I want to study it. And then I want to pick key moments that feel like what Jason would do. Right. And then act on that way. That to me, I love that you can approach this from different ways and play the game the way you want to play it. Especially after you've unlocked some of these objectives and you're able to push on through and get more challenges that you can go back and revisit one and say, I want to try to do this in a certain time frame, or I want to go back and see this, triggered kill that I didn't see before, or, whatever. So I like that kind of variety that this provides.
Yeah, I played the first challenge a few times there, and there are still things that I did not do in it.
Right.
So.
Yep. How many objectives are there? We already answered. Does each challenge only take place within one area, or will certain challenges leave you traveling from one location to another location? We kept these pretty tight in their map size, and the purpose of that is multiplayer, the maps are a little larger, and the reason why they're a little larger is when counselors, when you're playing as a counselor and you separate from the pack and you're further away and you're in the dark and you don't know where everyone else is, that creates tension and that's good for gameplay. When you're doing a single player challenge like this and you're Jason, they don't know you're there, right? They're unaware that Jason is there. So if they were, all over the map, that's not fun as Jason. You're just like, I have to walk over here to this campground.
Yeah, you'd either be walking or spending time waiting for
more for right, and that's just not fun. So we wanted to keep everybody, all the AI, and their pathing to happen in a tighter location, so that you weren't just spending your time walking around. It's more fun to see all your prey, watch what they're doing, because you may have two counselors that are talking to each other in a scenario and they walk away in opposite directions. Well, it'd be cool to be able to hold up a tree and watch which directions they're going. What are they going to do when they get to the end of their path? Do they come back? Do they go somewhere else? That kind of thing. So you'll get a better feel once we start the second one here of what's a little bit larger sized objective from a square footage compared to that first one. That'll help answer that too. Within this update, will some of the new single-player challenge kill animations be translated to multiplayer? No, we're not going to. Right now, no, we're not going to take the kills that you're going to find in the single-player challenges and move those over to multiplayer, because we wanted these to feel unique. We wanted to have cinematic moments in here that felt special to this game mode, and some of them you'll find they make sense to an AI who doesn't know you're there. It doesn't make sense to put that in multiplayer because no one's going to be stopping and doing the things that you're seeing, and this will make sense. Just in this picture alone, you see that AJ is cooking on the stove, right? Who would be doing that in multiplayer? Well, who knows? There's some RP people out there that actually might get into that, but nonetheless, so no, the answer to that is no. Last question, then we'll jump into this. Will challenges have a checkpoint system? Not exactly, no. There is no mid-mission checkpoint or anything like that. So if you mess up, you start the challenge over again. You'll be able to retry, that's not a problem. But if you've completed a couple objectives and then failed, it didn't save it. That didn't save it that way. You can't just pick back up again mid-mission. You always have to start over again. So it's get good or go home, pretty much. So I think we can...
I'm going to call out the dude in my ear.
Well, do we need to...
For our comparison pictures.
Oh, yes. Yeah, let's take a look at a couple comparison shots of old engine, new engine. This one, the ones we're looking at, that we're going to look at here in a second, are counselor-based. So it's just looking from the main menu. Because I think it gives a good representation of what I mentioned earlier, right? Because we weren't going in to specifically change the engine to make it look better. Instead, it was with a new render, with a new way that this thing handles light, what's going to happen? And we flipped the switches on, and this was some of the outcome we got from it. So, I mean, I hope you can tell the difference by looking at some of these, at the old versus the new.
There's a lot more clarity of the texture. You can see a lot more of the skin, the detail in the skin.
Right. And some of that is lighting. A lot of that is lighting. But it's also, we gained a little bit of memory back with the engine upgrade, which allowed us to, maybe push a little bit harder on some of this. But a lot of what you're seeing is better light, how light is processed, how light would bounce off of the counselor to make the skin tone look a little crisper, a little better. But I've been pretty pleasantly surprised with when we made this upgrade. The benefits that came out of it were, at least to my eyes, were pretty substantial for fidelity and of course in engine when you're running around in a map fog and stuff looks pretty dope too. So yeah, you can expect to see some of those. Some of the stuff you're looking at here, you can see that we just showed you a handful of counselors there real quick. But yeah, that just kind of happened with the upgrade.
Like how we showed AJ twice. That's exactly how we should do it.
Come on. Yeah, let's jump back in and check out challenge number 2, known as the power struggle.
So you want to play this one, Wes? You want to take the controller?
Nah, man, you're all over.
Cannot change.
Whoa.
You
Did you just
drive.
hear that? Sounded like screaming.
Probably someone getting bonked upstairs, man. How come you don't get loud when we get it on?
Well, you're just gonna have to keep trying, babe.
Holy shit! What's going on? What are you doing?
Just testing it out, honey.
Well, cut it out. You're harshing my eye, babe.
Be a doll and go check the fuse, please.
Like me. Not the fucking electrician here.
Don't be scared, man.
I'm just going to be quiet.
I know. I mean, because everybody in chat's like, "What? AJ's cheating on Adam with Mitch?"
Yeah, nobody
So
can see this.
here's the thing. Is like, yeah, we know there are certain counselors that have kind of coupled up in the meta world. We all know, right? But we just kind of treated this as like set pieces, right? Like, it's less about like everyone knows that AJ and Adam should be together, and it's more about like, hey, here's these people in this scenario, and Jason needs to go take care of business, right? And we were limited to the amount of set pieces that we have anyway, and we didn't want to just keep telling the same story over and over again, like, oh look, it's Adam and AJ again, or whatever. So you're gonna find some things that I love this. Huh?
Yeah.
Mitch always had a
Kill for
electric
mother.
Oh,
personality.
Jesus.
Hashtag dad jokes.
Oh, no, you did not.
Oh.
Horrible kill placement. My bad. I had to.
Chat's got some pretty good dad
Yeah.
jokes for that too.
All right.
Kill
let's-
for mother.
I didn't have time to hide the body by kicking it out the door.
So what just happened there? He dispatched the first couple, and here comes 2 more of our counselors to visit.
But there are other ways that I could have handled
Oh,
that,
I'm sure. Yep.
but I
Far-
decided to go the worst possible way, I guess.
God, look at that fog in the distance. See, even the fog is processed differently with this new engine. Again, that's an ancillary benefit. It hangs a little lower. It feels more like what fog should do. Even some of the like opacity of the fog itself, it just feels and looks more lifelike. Again, these weren't things that we went in and said, here's why we're doing this engine. It just happened. But it's pretty dope. I'm pretty tickled with visually what happened with this upgrade.
I just forgot that I left a dead body sitting in the
Yeah, you-
kitchen.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like
this is gonna end well. Maybe they won't go in the kitchen. I mean, Chad's not gonna go in the kitchen, right? He's not gonna make his own food.
well, of course he doesn't. That's what the help is for, right? People are supposed to take care of that for him. Everyone's like, "What? Ginny and Chad are together?" Like, no, they were just rolled up together. They weren't like holding hands or.
I don't want her to see me.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Like Ronnie asked me to do one very specific thing during the stream,
I already know what it is. If it came from Ronnie, I know exactly what it is.
and yeah, I gotta do my best. I gotta try to fulfill my obligation. Chad really did not go in the kitchen. Like,
Oh, I think you're rushing it. Oh.
That's for you, Ronnie.
That's my
Hang out, Jimmy.
hunt them down and make
Sorry.
them pay.
Now, see, like after what we have to do here, right, is after we got some of the big issues or whatever taken care of, and I'm pretty sure some folks, some Ilphonic are in chat too, maybe. We need Candy to come out of her the second, like when you hit her again like that.
No.
No? Okay.
No, not that. Chad saw me. He started running out of the house, so
Oh,
he's
okay.
gonna get away.
Yep. But look how dope it looks in the woods.
Wait, did he?
That was actually
He didn't leave.
it's pretty dope.
Is he high? Well, he's Chad. So
So, side note, whenever we were working on the design for this and putting together call outs for what things should look like, and some of you guys know this already, but some maybe not, the shift feature and how like the camera works and whatnot was you suck, dude. We were inspired by Evil Dead and how camera works in that, and we kind of borrowed and were inspired from that to how we wanted that to look and feel. So, to any Evil Dead's
They
fans in
weren't
the house,
paying any
that's what's
attention
up.
to you, Jason. Make them remember.
You're getting a whole lot of "you suck," Dan, in chat.
thanks, guys.
No pressure or anything. I'm just saying.
I love playing these games on stream.
Can he close doors yet? Is a question that came through chat. I'm assuming they mean can Jason close doors? No, because that seems
Whoa,
weird to
did
us
you just hear
that
that?
Jason would stop and
Sounded
close
like
a door.
screaming.
Probably someone getting bonked upstairs.
I don't recall
man.
ever seeing him
How come you don't
do
get
it
loud
in the
when
film.
we get it
Yeah,
on?
he usually leaves them in
Just gonna
a
have to keep trying,
state
babe.
where they can't be closed.
Or yeah, well, there's that. Sure, he just
Holy
goes through it
shit.
completely.
What's going on?
I
What are you
can see
doing?
the gameplay
Just
benefit from
testing
it
it
though.
out,
If you
honey.
like went into a room, shut the door, turned on stock,
Hushing my
you could
eyes,
really
man.
screw with people. But it was something about the visual. And we even talked with Kane about this. About it kind of
Not the fucking
makes
electrician
Jason
Don't be
more human or
scared,
something.
man.
And it just takes away from the character. I didn't like that. Look how the light reflects off him right here. Dope. Sorry, it's those little things for me that I noticed
Find
whenever we
them,
made this
Jason.
change that
Make them
I was so
pay for
excited.
what they did to us.
7 is OP in the water, dude.
I like how much water I had to shoot.
Like just chill over, just get out of the way so he doesn't see you. Get up in some light, like have a light hit his mask. Cause damn, like the way that some light gets absorbed, some light bounces. Look at Alvy's back right there. Just fucking dope.
I can handle
Love
the
it.
dark. No biggie.
Love it. I mean, it always looked good. I thought it always looked good. And when we did this engine upgrade, you got some different like speculars and shit that are happening, like within the bones, especially for like a wetter Jason. So
Mitch,
dope.
now don't fry yourself.
There we go.
That's my Jason.
Okay, so last time I just like kicked the door open
Mm.
and just ran in and said, "Hey,
What's
up, AJ?"
Right.
So like maybe I'll not do that this time.
Why does the game lighting seem darker? It doesn't seem darker. It is darker. Whenever we did an engine upgrade from 4.11 to 4.18, there was a new renderer. The way light is processed and shown, the way it bounces, the way sometimes it's absorbed on objects, all of these things changed with an even new form of DirectX for Xbox players, PC players. So there was a lot of changes that occurred when we made this engine upgrade, and you're seeing that the ancillary benefits of it, which is things got a little darker, which I personally think is got us even closer to what the film looked like. Because before, the way that light worked on the previous engine, it's sometimes
Mitch, come in here.
like with fog,
I'll
for
let you
example,
have your way with
light
me.
hits fog and bounces back, which brightens things up. It seems to work a little more efficiently with 418, which makes shadows a little darker and things like that.
I'm just doing the hunting game right now.
Mitch, what's the holdup? You
It's just
still
like
got a
Adam.
doobie out there?
AJ's gonna go look for a friend now.
Right. So, because Mitch obviously did not return with, "Hey, I fixed the generator. Let's smoke another bowl," or whatever Mitch does. She went out to investigate to find out, well, what's up? Why aren't you back?
Sorry.
So, if he had not just attacked her, she would have walked up, saw the dead body, freaked out, and been like, "I got to get out of here," right? Or he could have gone inside the cabin and killed her before she even started to suspect, where is Mitch?
Kill for mother.
So now he's got the bodies both outside. So with this being, the second playthrough of this, he knows they're going to be going inside. So now at least they're going to come in and go, huh, no bodies, nobody's here, what's going on? So no one's going to be on high alert. Could we expect more challenges on some occasions? Meaning, are we going to do more than 10? I'm assuming that's what your question is. Yeah, maybe. We kind of want to get these out, get them in your hands, let you guys play them, and come back and talk to us about them. Let us know what you think about them. If you like the direction we're going with them, and you guys think they're cool, then yeah, like we should totally make more of these. Or if if overwhelmingly the community was like, well, we kind of wish it was more like this other thing, or we wish we could do this, or we wish there were more objectives, or different outcome, like that would whatever. Like because we listen to what you guys have to say, and so instead of us just immediately saying let's make 10 more without listening to anybody and do our own thing, like we kind of want to get these out and let you guys touch them and play them and give us feedback.
Anyone here?
AJ? Mitch?
I'm gonna check the house, see what's up.
So we had a completely different VO session with the same VO actors that are in the multiplayer. We got them back in the studio, wrote a whole new script just for the challenges. So what I like about that too is, while you may not see like the counselors pairing up in the way that you think they should pair up, you still get to learn a little bit more about their personalities through the challenges because of some of the banter and some of the things that they're saying back and forth. I think that's cool because it adds a little bit more depth to the otherwise Jason fodder. you get to know the counselors a little bit better, and I think that's kind of cool.
That's my special boy.
Can you archive this stream VOD? Yeah, I think this is set to VOD, correct? Maybe.
It should be?
Should be? Question mark?
Question mark?
Probably. Yeah, I just heard from Rob, who is our video production broadcast genius, that yeah, we should be all set for that. So if you're having troubles with the stream, or
Yes! Sorry.
yeah.
I always either get Chad or I get the hanging coat.
Yeah.
I've never been able to get both because I'm not that great.
It's true.
You are not supposed to agree so much.
I mean, nah, dude, you're great.
That's my
Are you able to pull up
That's my
objectives
special,
in game?
special boy.
I don't think so. I have to actually. Oh, actually, I think you can. Is it not? But it wouldn't be
Make
start.
mommy
Like,
proud, Jason.
let's try it.
Don't let them escape.
I hear it's up on the D-pad.
Let's give it a shot. Did I just start the next one?
Whoa.
No.
Did
Okay.
you just hear that?
Thought I almost
like
made a mistake
screaming.
there.
Probably
Almost showed the third one.
Started the
upstairs,
third one.
man. How come you
That
don't
would've been
get
bad.
loud when we get it
I mean, it'd
on?
been cool. Everyone would have been like,
Just
whoop,
gonna
but then it
have
also
to
been
keep
like
trying,
massive
babe.
spoilers.
It's like, hey, thanks, guy. You said the first two.
Holy shit! What's going
Yeah,
on?
like, I even
What
said
are you
on
doing?
Twitter,
Just
people are like, I don't want to
testing
see
it out, honey.
spoilers. It's like, this is not the stream for you.
Yeah, I mean,
Hi,
obviously,
babe.
don't tune in if you
Take a doll and go check the views.
don't want to see.
Oh, I don't even have to wait for the intro.
Me.
Oh, there you go.
No
Yeah.
fucking electrician here.
Don't
So
be
yeah, obviously he's got
scared.
those 3 in the last few playthroughs, and those are the ones that he's got left to do.
Oh, and it even shows you, like, when you lose undetected. Like, it'll... Well,
Make
let's just-
them remember what they did to us,
sure.
Jason. Kill them.
Chat says, give Dan a raise.
That's right.
Well, the funny thing is, like, I wasn't going to tell him this, but I was going to base how good he was at this
Oh no, shit! I'm screwed.
on a potential
Yes,
raise.
right. That was me. I was testing to
So
show everybody.
I think you may owe me money now, actually.
He's just leaving AJ. What a dick. He deserves death. Where the hell? Are you going to the main road, man?
Show emotions in all caps. Just came through in chat. I'm guessing they mean with counselors to show emotions. We've got some, facial animations in there for being scared or hurt or otherwise. But we don't have, we didn't motion capture full face. That's costly. I don't mean money. I mean, it is costly money, but costly from an optimization standpoint. On multiplayer, across console, it's asking a lot to get a full suite of, facial emotions happening. We stuck a few in there that we think help the scenes, especially during kill cinematics and things, where the camera's pulled in tighter. But most of the time you're staring at the back of the models anyway in a third-person game like this. So we didn't put a whole lot into let's really push the envelope as hard as we can for facial animations, because we kind of also knew that we're going to hit a wall at some point from an optimization standpoint where this isn't going to work well. Now you can make animations that would potentially be only for single player and some only for multiplayer, but now you're doubling the work. You're having to change top parts of the rig and otherwise. It's just not an effective way to or efficient way to make something. So.
That's my Jason.
Keep seeing me.
That's my special,
Yeah, I noticed.
special
I noticed.
boy.
Will weather be a part of these challenges? There will be some of the challenges that have rain, if that's your question. So yes. But you can't toggle that on or off or whatever, per objective or per challenge.
I don't know if that's going to work for these guys or not. I don't know if I actually put that where they're going to walk.
Would you set a trap over there?
Yeah, I said 2.
Nice.
I think that's one of them, right? Yeah. Catch any counselor in a trap.
Yeah, a couple comments about what's going on with voice stuff. So when counselors are in normal dialogue, just talking to each other, that's the correct voice that's being played. But if they scream, you may hear, for example, when Jenny screams, it sounds like AJ. That is a known thing that we have in. We have it within multiplayer to save on memory. It's funny, you ducked right when he turned around. It's almost like he planned to, don't see me. But yeah, we play that
Oh my!
so that we save some memory on that, so that we can actually make the game work properly on console. With the new engine upgrade, we're hoping that we may be able to sneak a couple more in, but we're still kind of early on from what are the additional ancillary benefits of this engine upgrade. So I can't make any promises to that. But during screams and kills, yeah, you may hear Jenny sounds like AJ. Again, it was a memory saving thing. Chat is destroying you, Dan. So glad that you're playing and I'm not playing.
I just have I'm literally hanging my head in shame.
Yeah, no, I saw
They
you.
weren't paying any attention
Yep.
to you, Jason. Make them remember.
It's the wrong Jason. Yeah, it did just pop up. Nobody's gonna screen cap anything. We're good.
I know a lot of people are asking, hey, when is this coming out? When do I get to get my hands on this? It has been, the number one question that we've received, for, months on end. The answer to that is somewhat complicated. We're really, really close to the finish line. I wish I could give you a date, but that's just not how this stuff sort of works. One analogy to think about is if you're doing heart surgery, you ask the doctor, hey, when you gonna be done? It's like when it's done. Like when I've fixed it. Whenever all the things are good. So it's a little difficult for us to just put a finger on it and say this is the date. But we like to keep you guys we like to show this stuff and let you see the progress that the team has had and the late nights that they've
Sounded like screaming.
they put into this,
Upstairs,
so you can
man.
see it now and
You don't
understand
get loud when we get it
what
on.
is this and why we've been waiting
Just gonna
for
have
it
to keep
and
trying,
etc.
babe.
So I'm sorry that I can't say this is the exact date for it, but just know that we are
What are you doing?
very close.
Just testing it
As
out,
soon
honey.
as we have it,
Cut it
that
out.
we can share.
Yep.
Harshing my
We're
time.
we're gonna get it out.
Yes.
We're not just gonna sit there and
Get
hold on
dolled
to it.
and go check the views,
Right.
please.
Like me. Not the
And,
fucking
and as some
electrician here.
have pointed
Don't
out,
be
like even
scared.
some of the guys over at like Slash and Cast have mentioned, like the second that this thing is done, we usually drop it, right? Like we're like, here you go, because like we know that's not cool to like, okay, it's done, now let's sit on it for a week and build up like marketing hype around it. Like that is probably like the better business thing to do, but it's not how we roll, because like we want to get it into your hands as fast as we can possibly do. We also have to work with our partners at Microsoft and Sony to get the content up into the store. We don't control that. I can't, pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Microsoft, make it live now." Like it doesn't quite work that way. They have to slot us into their marketplace. So at some point, we are we kind of have to wait to fit into the calendar, because you have to remember there are hundreds of games that are always doing DLC updates, content updates, bug patches, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a queue. We gotta get in line and that kind of thing. So that's one other thing to consider.
That's my Jason.
Someone asked about some FPS drop that's happening like late game. With the engine update, we have seen a little better FPS. With it happening late game with the current build, yeah, that's a known thing. And we did see that get a little better with this update. Don't expect perfection, but we're working towards that all the time. It's not like we're quote unquote done now. Like there's still things that we know needs to get in here. But the whole point of this was to get us towards dedicated, right? Like that's written on the board of everyone's office everywhere is, dedicated with 1,000 exclamation points. We've got to get to that point so that people who are the hosts that quit, that ruins the experience for everyone. That sucks. So we're trying to fix that number one problem first, and then we can come back and look at some of those other things and say, hey, this we really need to look at this. If FPS is still an issue, where can we get some savings, right? Because that's kind of how all this works. Is when you have all these set pieces in assets, lighting, physics, textures, LODs, etc. When you have all this in here, it's a balancing act for FPS. It's very difficult to say keep everything identical to what you're looking at, but give me more frames. Like something is going to have to take a hit to be able to get your frame rate up, and even more so on console, which has always been a bit of an Achilles for us to get things running efficiently on console. PC is a little bit easier to for fidelity and physics and some things like that, and even frame rate. It depends on what setting you choose as well. Oh, got him. Got him.
I got both of them.
Yeah, you should have did a free swing on one probably.
I need my rugby kill. I was expecting to get one and for the other one to run away.
They deserve to die.
So there's a handful of questions coming through with just like, hey, with this update, what are we going to see from multiplayer in terms of change? We'll have complete patch notes that'll be coming out. Nice. It's a good way to end it.
I didn't have my shit.
Yeah. So we'll have the patch notes out to show you guys all that stuff as we get really, really close to launch. So that's always a
is
good
your
sign if you
home,
see patch
Jason.
notes come out that,
Protect it.
hey, it's like real soon. So keep your eyes open for that messaging from Dan over on the.
Yeah, we'll have messaging out for all the patch notes. I think Courier will actually be posting those when we're ready to go with them.
Yep.
But we'll have them on the forums. We'll have them on Reddit. They'll
Yep.
go up on social media. Like we're doing our best to keep everybody up to date on where we are with this update.
For sure. And you can also follow Ilphonic over on Twitter as well. He was just mentioning Courier. That's Aaron over at Ilphonic who's handling their community side. He also, will post some things. He can answer questions just as easily as we can, sometimes even more effectively if they're technical questions. He may be able to help out with some of that too. So yeah, make sure that you're following the complete Friday the 13th family. I don't know if you guys noticed in the intro video, we had some music that was playing in the background. That was our buddy Mitch Murder, who you may already know. He's provided some music that you can find on the radio in multiplayer. And he had some pretty rad, sort of kind of horror themed. One of them's like super horror themed tracks that he had, and so yeah, he threw those to us and put those up. So if you guys dig it, check out his Bandcamp page.
The link below.
Yep, the link's below. I think it
Our
may have
info.
even popped up in the chat a couple of times. So you guys should check him out because he's really, really good at what he does, and he's also like a super creative and nice guy. Cool. So I'm going to take a look at a few more of these questions that were sent in from the community to see if there was either something that we didn't answer or if anything's popped up in chat as well. There was one question about clothing. So will the counselors have any of the DLC clothing, or will they just be in their standard like default outfits? You might see some different clothing outcomes.
If it makes sense for people to be wearing other
Right.
things, they might be wearing other things.
Correct. On average, how long does it take to complete a challenge? It's well, there's always a 20-minute like overall timer anyway. So if you just stand there and do nothing, there's a timer, so to speak. But it really depends on how you want to play it. If you're trying to speed through, you can do that. If you want to take your time and pick people off one by one, or you want to see some cinematic kills, each one is a little different in how fast you can do those. So it kind of varies on players' skill and what the player wants to accomplish when they're playing these. Will Tommy Jarvis make an appearance in the challenges? No. He will not make an appearance in the challenges because he's a character that's supposed to show up in multiplayer to help and kind of save the day. We wanted to keep these challenges as little miniature scenarios where no one knows Jason's there. They're doing their own thing, and Jason shows up and dispatches them. So one way to look at this is like, and I've explained this before in the past, is multiplayer is, if it were a film, it would be like real 3 or 4, right? Jason's already killed a few people. People have discovered bodies.
Kill them all,
Most
Jason.
people know, oh shit, Jason's here. We've got to do something. We've got to get out of here. This guy's trying to kill us. That's multiplayer, right? Which is why the match starts with, hey guys, let's hang out around this fire. And then, old dude gets killed, right? And everyone screams and runs. That's sort of the point of that, right? They all know you're there. The challenges were supposed to be real one, scene one, right? Is here's some guys fixing a car, right? So they don't know Jason's there because they're just broken down. No big deal. I'm going to go pee while Adam fixes the car, right? That was where we wanted to go with these and be able to create that kind of unique experience for you as the player. Is multiplayer feels like later in the film, where these challenges feel like it's the very beginning. Oh.
I love showing that in the video. Like, and the mocap for this, I don't even want to think about it because his leg twitches again.
They
Like
deserve
he is
to die,
good and dead.
Jason.
Yeah, well, Ronnie
Make
Ronnie
them
directed the
suffer.
motion capture for the single player challenges, and Ronnie is really good at making people, like from a horror perspective, feel uncomfortable. He knows like the little subtleties that when you watch them really sell a scene, because that could have the guy could have just dropped the car on him. He's dead. Some blood pools out the bottom, and you're done. Right? That would be the sort of the default way you could have shot that and directed that motion capture. But Ronnie's like, no, like after the fact, you got to throw in like a couple of leg twitches
Jason,
to show that
Mother
like
is
there was
talking to
still
you.
like a last
them.
bit of life in him.
That shit is creepy.
Yeah, well, that's the point of it. And that's why it's like awesome that Ronnie is working on the project, is because those little bitty pieces, while some may just not ever notice it, the ones that do are like, holy shit. Like that little touch there is what sells that whole kill, makes that whole kill feel even more visceral. So a couple more questions here we'll answer from chat, and then we'll wrap this up. We were trying to shoot for right at about an hour or so, which is about now. So I'll try to answer a few more questions from the chat, and yeah. God, I need to slow down chat. I'm like, I can't keep up. It's going too fast.
Did you fix that
Why
shit
does it-
yet? Might be faster if you
Because we'll
help,
have slow
man.
mode.
Man, just hurry up. I don't want to miss the hot chicks.
Will Victoria appear in any of the challenges? Victoria will not appear in challenges. You will not, you also not see Fox in the challenges. That's because we've been working on challenges for a long
Kill them all,
time
Jason.
before those counselors, the models were even done. So all the scenarios get laid out. They all get sort of, sort of gray boxed in. The storyboards were done, voiceover was done, all the pieces of the puzzle happened a long time ago, right? Like, so to then go back and like, how do we fit this counselor in that just got done? Like, we can't do it now, but that's a prime example for, hey, we should make more challenges later. Is, hey, let's make some challenges around some of these new counselors.
That's my Jason. That's my special boy.
Which, I mean, and even still, you can like look at some of those counselors, like Fox, for example, and there could be some really rad challenges that we create that kind of harken back to the film, right? Which I think would be a nice way to pay an homage, but still allow the players some like agency, allow them to try some things out. Which was one of the questions I saw come through, which is, do you have to know these movies to play the challenges, or like how tightly are the challenges tied to the films? And obviously you don't have to have seen any of the films or be familiar with Friday the 13th to be able to complete each one of these challenges. But what does happen is, if you know these films and you're a fan of the films, you're going to see little nods to moments that happen throughout the entire film series. Little scenarios where you're like, oh, wait a minute, you know what this reminds me of? Well, that's on purpose. Like, and if you know anything about us, at least, the little Easter eggs and nods towards authenticity and nostalgia, that's a big tool in our kit that we'd love to use, because we're fans just like you guys are, and this just comes from a labor of love for us, because we definitely love this IP. We love Friday the 13th through and through, and we want to try to give you guys not only like a cool experience to play as Jason or then as counselors in multiplayer, but also to see the little moments when you get to stop and look at something and go, wow, that's like, I remember the first time someone found the little broken bridge, like the little part in the bridge that's broken, and we were like, oh my God, who were like flipping out, like that's what the van's tire broke through, and we're like, yep. So it's those little things that you'll probably find some moments like that in the challenges as well, which we think is cool. Got time for one more, and then we're going to call it. I'm not gonna. That was not that good.
I mean, these questions are going by in chat really fast.
That's true. Damn it. I wish I could make that. I try to scroll up and it's like, it like jumps back down, so I can't catch them fast enough. And I don't know. I know there's a way to slow down chat, I think, but.
We'll just tell production Rob to give us a good question.
True. Rob, scroll through, see if you can find us a good question, and we'll close it out with that. Sure.
I can hear you eating your ice, Wes.
I'm sorry. I'm eating ice on stream. My bad. I don't know what that question means, Rob. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, yeah. So question came up about animations that were seen a long time ago in beta. I know this has been a thing because I've heard it both on my personal Twitter. I've seen it actually maybe even in the forums where someone was showing like a GIF or something. Yep. So back in the beta, we had some animations that were what is known as starts and stops. So when a counselor is running or Jason is moving and you quickly either turn or stop or whatever, there was a bit of some weight to that. There was some inertia to that where you kind of, they don't just stop on a dime like they have a start and a stop animation. It's a blend animation between being fully moving and completely stopped. We had that in the beta. But as everyone in chat, if you were there for us during beta and even at launch, there was a lot of things on fire. There was a lot of issues that we had, and we found that one was costing us a lot from an optimization standpoint to pass that information over the network, because someone could be using like their say they're playing on a console with a controller, they're joggling the stick really fast, so like starting and stopping really, really quickly. It's processing and moving through those blends really, really quickly, and it's passing that information over the network. And the server's always having to check to say, where is this player at any given time on the map? And if there's like a minute packet lost during that moment, the server kind of freaks out, doesn't know where the player is, and they could be either stuck in between blends. We saw some things happen where people could then be able to sort of exploit and maybe start sliding around the map in between a blend of an animation, and then they had like unlimited stamina. So that was like some weird things that we're starting to see happen when you try to pass complex animations over a network. You don't see many games, multiplayer games, that have starts and stops. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is Uncharted 4's multiplayer. There is some of that in theirs, but even still, some of their running is a little floaty, which gives them a little bit of room to for blends to occur. We try to keep the running locomotion and things of our counselors and our models a little more grounded, weighted to the earth, and felt more real, but it costs too much for us to do the starts and stops. I would love for us to get back to that at some point. It is still on our wish list. We have an internal wish list of this is all the stuff that needs to be in this game, and we want to address those things. But right now, our biggest target was we have to get dedicated servers in, because it's ruining the experience for a lot of players. And things like starts and stops do not ruin an experience for the majority of your player base. It's more like icing, right? It's just polish. It would be cool if it were there. So we have this wish list of polished things, and then we have this other wish list that's like, these are must fixes we need in the game. We have another wish list that's like content. So new this, new that kind of stuff. That's on the wish list there too. So yeah, once we're over this major mountain of a challenge that the IllFonic just took on, once we're through this and we have dedicated, it's out, it's running, it's singing like a song, and everyone's like, heck yeah, like this is great and smooth. Let's now go back to that wish list and try to start getting some things in.
Man, IllFonic has been kicking ass on this update. This
no
is
doubt.
a massive massive endeavor. And
Yeah.
you know, Ronnie's been talking about playing single player challenges. You've been talking about playing single player challenges. You know, I just want these. I want these to come out. I want people to get their hands on them.
Yep.
I want to see how people play them. I want them to send us videos of their run. Like, I don't care if it's 17 minutes of them stalking people.
Right.
Like, share it with us, guys.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to. I think there's going to be some really creative people out there that find some ways to like mash up some of the mechanics that are in there to create experiences and outcomes that like we didn't even think could happen. You know, I think that's going to be sweet to see all that stuff. So it's not like, you know, we're just going to keep sitting on this and not give it to you because we really want to get it out there to you so you guys can play it and look at it. So yeah, we're really, really close. Stay tuned to the Friday the 13th Twitter. Go to IllFonic's Twitter. Trust me, the second we know something from the rooftops, we will sing. Because
we're screaming.
Yes, because we've been waiting for this a long time too. We've gone through the moments of us crying as we try to get things to work forward and something breaks and you go back to square one and try to fix and so on and so forth. But the guys at IllFonic have been killing themselves, you know, late nights, being away from friends, family, new babies that have come into the family. You know, they've been sacrificing to get this stuff done as fast as we can. An engine upgrade is not a minor thing, and we jumped from 4.11 to 4.18. That's a tremendous jump. It touches everything. Just having a new renderer alone is a daunting task for both your art team and even animation and engineers to go in, because every single asset in the game it could be scaled differently due to the renderer. I know there's some people saw some videos that where I done a stream earlier where there were some weird assets that were like not sized properly. And then there's also the interaction points to those things. You know, maybe the door it can't rendered in properly, but the interaction point to it didn't. So you walk up to the door and hit a button to open it and it's not opening and you can't figure out why. Oh, it's because the interaction point is underground. And you're like, oh shit. And so it needs to be moved up. So, I mean, there was so much to this that had to be gone back in and painstakingly touched to make sure, is everything where it's supposed to be? Does this thing look the way it's supposed to? Is it functioning the way that everyone knows it's supposed to function? And that just takes a really, really long time. So I appreciate, you know, the patience that you guys have had. Bear with us while we're right here. I mean, seriously, we're at the finish line. And again, just stay tuned to our channel so that you know exactly when this thing's going to hit. But with that, I think we're going to be signing off here. We appreciate you guys showing up, taking a look at the challenges. Appreciate the questions, both here in chat and some of the questions that came through earlier. Big shout out to Slash and Cast for helping us consolidate and get some of these questions put together. If you don't know Slash and Cast, you should go check them out on YouTube. They're a great group of guys. They know horror. They don't just know Friday the 13th. They know horror in general. And they put together some great videos talking about this stuff that's going on in the horror world, where they're covering other films, etc. But they also, I mean, they know Friday. So if you've got questions about canon and stuff like that too, even game ideas as they connect to canon, they're great guys to go riff ideas off of and talk to. So check them out.
I fully expect to see a video of this video on their channel before the end of the night.
Right. It'll probably happen.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you guys had fun. I had fun being completely horrible at playing the game. Thank you so much for the long discussion, Wes.
Yeah, sorry if I rambled too much.
No, I mean, everybody's going to love it. I like hearing it. It means people have to hear my voice less. So we're good.
The only thing that would have made this better, we should have shown far more butts.
There were no butts in the first two challenges. It said too much.
Yeah, right. All right, well, we'll save that into the next stream.
Yeah. I'm Daniel.
I'm Wes. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you watching. Take care.